everybody. Welcome to the Sharon and Joe show. My name is Sharon.
I was trying to come up with some kind of like St. Patrick's Day getaway to say hello, but St. Patrick's Day was yesterday. So, no, it's actually Friday, right? What was St. Patrick's Day? Friday?
No, St. Patrick's Day was yesterday.
Oh, man,
It's Saturday.
Well, anyways, hi, everybody. This is Joe.
And it's not St. Patrick's Day, so...
And I'm not Irish.
Yeah, so...
There you go.
But maybe we can still find that gold at the end of the rainbow, right?
Absolutely.
That's actually what we're going for, actually. And that kind of actually is good. I can say actually a few more times. That's a good way for us to start this video. Because in today's video, I'm going to talk about a comment that Joe and I received recently and how this kind of led to a conversation that we had. And it just kind of reinforced our plans for going forward. We want to be able to have peace and stability going forward and not have the narcissist be a part of our life. So Joe and I had a great night tonight. We have a lot of great nights, but tonight was it was like a romantic night. None of the kids were home, so Joe and I had the house to ourselves, and we cooked a dinner, and it was delicious. We had steak, and we had potatoes, and we actually still have dessert to have. And salad. Yeah, we made Caesar salad, and it was just so great to be able to be together like that and just have like candlelight. This is the only time I've ever done that.
You're talking about our sparkling grape juice.
I didn't say that. Yeah, we got sparkling grape juice too.
I don't drink alcohol, so yeah, we had to get the sparkling grape juice, but it was good.
It was really good. I have these fancy wine glasses, so we put our sparkling.
China, and use the china too.
Oh yes, we used our china, you guys. Now I love my china. I think in some ways that makes me sound old because the younger people don't care about china. I love my china. So Joe and I ate up the china with our fancy wine glasses, and we were living large tonight.
Yeah, it was nice. The kids were out of the house pretty much for the weekend, so yesterday we got all the cleaning done. Today we went grocery shopping. There was like no, it was just peaceful. It was nice. It was a good break.
And we hope for many, many, many more of these nights. But we didn't always have these nights. You know, Joe and I, and many of you know if you listen to the channel, we've had a hell of a time breaking free of our narcissist.
I still suffer from CPTSD even today. Like it's getting better, and it does. But there's still like you learn to cope with it. You get tools to use, but even today, it's still affecting me in some kind of way.
So let me talk a little bit about this comment that we received, and then I'll move forward. And Joe and I are going to talk about ultimately how we, just us, chose to live our life so that we can move forward and have a life, like have a life away from the narcissist. And I don't just mean we're still alive, but to enjoy life and have another opportunity, another chance to have something beautiful in our life, because it doesn't always seem like that is possible when you've been with a narcissist. So Joe and I made a video a couple of weeks ago, and in the video I mentioned that even though my ex is supposed to pay a certain amount towards my son's medical bills, he does not. And he cut me off from, I'm sure you guys, some of you might know what this is. We had it's sort of like a credit card, but it's like it used to be called a flexible spending card, where essentially it's like a debit card with money on it that you can use pre-tax for, medical bills or co-pays, that type of thing. My ex cut me off it. So I was recently at CVS, and both of my children had a prescription. It was $60, right? Which isn't a ton of money, but when you are not doing the greatest financially, $60 hurts. I mean, Joe and I are really in the position where $60 makes a difference. So I had to pay this for my kids' prescriptions because my ex cut me off from the flexible spending card, even though I'm supposed to be on it. This led to me having a little mini meltdown with Joe, because here I am, I'm so worried about this. And then I was like, oh my gosh, Joe. And now, our son, my youngest son, now he's going to need his wisdom teeth taken out. We're not going to be able to afford that. That's going to be like $1,000. I'm thinking all this thing, and I'm getting myself in a bad state. And then I'm thinking, I'm going to have to break no contact. I'm going to have to do it. What am I going to do? And finally, Joe said, you know what? Screw it. We'll pay it. We'll figure out a way. We'll pay it. We always do. It's all right. You're not breaking no contact. Let it go. After I really let that sink in, I was in a better place mentally. But this person, this commenter, and I get it, Joe and I both do. She said essentially, oh, hell no. Like, he should be paying that. I wouldn't let my ex get away with that. And she said it like in a nice way. Like, it was I got it. I understood it. So did Joe. But for us, ultimately, we couldn't go that route and have any freedom and stability in our life.
Remember that the narcissistic personality disorder is a spectrum, and ours were on the higher end, like psychopathy, where there was no rhyme reason dealing with these things. Towards the end of the entanglement, you're not in the best position financially to get a lawyer that's going to actually fight for you. You're not good spiritually, mentally. In certain circumstances, God bless you. Like if you have a middle of the road narcissist or lower end where they'll just be like, okay, cool, show me the receipt. I'll pay the $40 or the $60. Absolutely, 100%. If you do gray rock, whatever. In our situation, trust me, if there was a way, we were robbed, you guys. I mean, we were robbed blind. And if there was a way that the justice could be served, let it be. But that's, in our case, at least, it's up to God. We've been given mercy. Whatever happens with these things, let it be. This news coupled with Sharon's realtor not communicating with her, and you finding out that you needed $6,000 or $7,000 to fix up the house for whatever reason, then your attorney that hasn't given you any kind of invoice or anything for the last 6 months, where you thought you're paying like a flat fee of $2,500, said at the closing costs, I'll add in, the money that's owed to me. Like, that got to me, like that, and I can see we went temporarily insane for a hot second there. And you guys, give us any comments. Have you heard of that? I've gotten a couple lawyers in my life when I had temporary custody of my children, and like whatever lawyers I dealt with, they would give me like an invoice like every other week or like twice a month, like letting me know, hey man, I got in 10 hours here, you owe 2,000 here, and whatever the case was. Sharon hasn't heard anything from this lady since February. Like, not a word about how many, like, she could just pull a figure out of her ass. So Sharon pretty much got snowballed. And man, it got to a point where she was ready to lose it. And we had to get back to, okay, well, we don't have to worry about the wisdom teeth until next year. Thank God the kids, like, there's no surgery where it's going to cost $10,000 or $12,000. That's different from $40, but let's not cross that bridge until we get to it. They are so toxic, so vile, that even an email or a text from them, if you read it, if you entertain it for any point in time, at least in our situation, we become very, very sick.
Joe and I decided, and our exes are similar. Joe and I, if you don't know, we have a very similar story. We're both married to narcissists for 20 years. We both have 2 children. We just have a similar situation, so we get each other. But for us, no contact. And I understand what this commenter said, because she's right.
Yeah.
Like, my ex shouldn't get away with this. That's BS. But for us, it is a conscious choice every single day to maintain it. It's almost like Joe's mentioned, he's a recovering alcoholic, right? Or I don't know if it's recovered or recovering.
Recovered.
And
I'm always an alcoholic, but recovered from basically I was hopeless. So I have hope today.
But you have to, if you're in that situation, it's a choice. And maybe it gets easier as time goes on, but it's a choice not to drink every day.
It takes some spiritual practice, because I need God in my life. That's the solution. And it does, like when you're recovering from narcissism too, very similar. Like, and I've heard it said, and we don't talk about it a lot, but like there's been many studies where heroin addicts, like the withdrawal symptoms and stuff, are very much like a codependent and a narcissist. Like, your serotonin levels, your everything, like the chemicals change in it. So like complete abstinence for an alcoholic is essential. It's like no contact with the narcissist. The narcissist is the drug, and going no contact is just. And you have to be somewhat spiritually fit to remember, what am I dealing with? Not who am I dealing with? What am I dealing with here? And then it just, you take it from there.
I mean, the thing is, it would be really easy. Sometimes I think people might think, oh, you and Joe have each other. And, it's not.
It's so far from the truth.
Yeah, you guys, like, we're in a good spot because, well, first of all, because we did recovery by ourselves before we were even together. But because we make the conscious choice, okay, we are going to have a new life. We're going to do this. The narcissist gets their tentacles in every single thing that they can. And it would be so easy. And I was like this a while ago, guys, a couple of weeks ago. I was about ready to have a nervous breakdown. I was so upset with my ex. And then on top of this, he's sending me these emails, like a couple of times a week. He's sending me,
very, very Like, well, it's too bad that you're not mature enough to talk to me and this and that. Like, desperately trying to get you to react in any way, shape, or form. Sending his estranged kids he hasn't spoken to for 3 years, how well he's doing in his own quote unquote recovery from alcoholism, who he's fucking clueless on, how well he's doing. Like, people that are okay and like at peace and have some serenity, they don't need to convince anybody else about how well they're doing. They're okay, and that's all that matters. Their relationship with God. So his narcissism has kicked in, where it's like, gotta know what's going on. Gotta have something. His tentacles in something.
The reality is, when I had the issue where I'm paying for these prescriptions for my kids that he was supposed to pay for, and he wasn't, and then I'm thinking about, now I'm gonna have to pay $1,000 for the wisdom teeth. I don't have that $1,000. I was getting to be in a really, really bad spot, and that can happen to all of us, for us, and this really works, you guys. And I get it. Not everybody needs to do that, but for us, being able to just, okay, Joe and I, realistically, we both got robbed in our divorces. We lost a lot of money. We lost a lot of our possessions. I mean, I lost my house. 20 years.
20 years combined of a life. Yeah, and at the same time, we've been given mercy, because I've always said that, like, when you're dealing with this stuff, it's like life or death. And we have our life back. And we were saved. We know we didn't do it on our own. And we could help each other, but we were beyond human aid. In that recovery process, it was all God. I stayed out of the way and let him lead because I was in so much pain. My best thinking got me entangled with one of the sickest kind of creatures that there are on this earth. So I had to look at that too, and why I put up with the abuse for 20 years. But
well, that really is, like, this is a little bit off topic, but I just want to say this. That really is the secret, and the shock, I guess, the secret and the shock.
You bring the truth to the light.
Yes. Like, I remember I was so angry at Joe one time. This is when we were still friends and just talking on the phone. And he asked me one time, what is your role in this? Like, what did you do? And I was just, what? What do you mean, what did I do? Stuff was done to me. I was mad at you for like 2 days.
Yeah.
And then, but you know what? Then I'm thinking about it. And, there were things.
Well, I asked you, I said, well, why did you allow yourself to be abused for 20 years?
And that hit hard. Like, what do you mean? And then when you really think about it. So basically, this could be another video, but just, we are not innocent. Now, we're victims. So I'm not trying to say it's your fault. But when you think about what a healthy person emotionally would allow to have happen to them, like Joe, if you gave me a silent treatment, I wouldn't put up with it for 5 minutes,
no.
But I put up with it for 7 months with my ex. Why? Why did I do that? So part of the recovery, I guess, an integral part is working on yourself.
Well, because the only thing that you can change is yourself at best. And for me, I needed God to do that. So, like, I can't change a narcissist. Narcissist is a scorpion. They'll always be a scorpion. You can't trust a scorpion. I don't have to always be the way I am. We have the miraculous ability to evolve as human beings and, like, just grow. They're maladaptive.
And the thing is, so here I am, like, losing it, right? Just to go back to where I was, thinking about all this money I owe, all this money I don't have, all that I've lost, and, everything. And I could have gotten myself, and I was headed down that road in a real, real bad place. And Joe finally, he was like, you know what? Screw it. We'll just pay for it. We'll figure it out. It isn't worth it. And that's kind of what this whole video is about.
Well,
it isn't worth losing your peace of mind.
We also engaged, like, our logical thought. It wasn't like an emotional reaction. It was, okay, let's pretend that you told them that you had a $60, here's the receipt, what would happen. We played out all scenarios of what was going on once that no contact was broken. And trust me, guys, you want to see, like, a cascade of events that happen, like a butterfly effect, like, on what would happen. It would open up Pandora's box.
Because it would start like, okay, here's a $60 prescription. All right, actually, it was for both kids. Both of them happened to have a prescription. They were each $30. So it would be, do you want to say what do you think would happen?
Well, it would have been like, well, okay, so what's it for? And he would have been drilling you. What's it for? Who was it? This one or that one? Or are they okay? Well, did you have to pay $60? You could go to another. See, over here in this state, you would have paid $50, and I don't know why I'm paying $60. And okay, and then they have what? I don't know if I want to do this. And it would have been, well, I want to talk to him. And this is strange kid he hasn't talked to for 3 years.
Yeah, I want to talk to the doctor. I want to call CVS and confirm that the prescription was really this much.
And by the way, how are you doing? And yeah, I have changed. I just want to let you know, like, it's the tentacles become unwrapped, and those 8 tentacles are starting to kind of reach out, and man, you're in the crosshairs again.
And it has to be, for us, like, and I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I do like to tell you what has really worked for Joe and I, because this made a huge difference in my life. Letting it go. Okay, I'm going to have to pay. Joe and I are going to have to figure it out. We'll have to do DoorDash, whatever, to make the extra money so that we can pay for the wisdom teeth to taken out.
Yeah, and we're not martyrs. I'm not a martyr. Like, if my damn kid needed money, like my youngest one, actually I had to pay for it, his wisdom teeth. And he talked to his mom about paying the other half. I didn't break no contact. And she said, yeah, but she lied to him. And she let him, that's on her. She let him down. If it was $10 or $15, $20,000, that may be a different story, but that's not reality. And that bridge isn't there yet. So it may never be there. So I'm not going to cross that bridge. What I'm going to do is ask myself, okay, when does my son need his wisdom teeth pulled? Oh, okay, in 3 months? Okay, cool. I got a little bit of time. Can I figure out a way to get this done? Is it a catastrophe or is it an inconvenience? Let's go through let's play the tape all the way through. If I was to break contact, what would happen? And then, even if she was polite as could be, I might lose my shit from all the fucking shit that bitch has done to me. Like, and then what happens? Like, somebody has control of my anger and my emotions, and it's just, my soul is too precious now. Like, God saves me, so I must be worth something. So that soul inside me, that light, I have to cherish it. It's like my sobriety.
This is the thing with Joe and I, and we have gone over this a million times. When we were first, when our entanglements, can't call it a relationship, ended, we were both in bad shape.
We didn't have like $10,000 to pay a fucking lawyer, or like my electric was getting shut off. She stole the fucking car, and because we were married, the cops couldn't do nothing about it. But here I am with 2 kids, 2 cats, a dog, her mother living here. I'm driving my bike back and forth to work, like 40-something years old, driving my bike, whatever the hell I got to do. I call it PMS. I was physically, mentally, and spiritually bankrupt. They didn't leave me in a good spot where I was like, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get this high-powered attorney, and we're going to freaking fight. No family like to really help out.
Joe and I ended up in bad spots. And at some point, though, and it's so hard to picture this when you're in the worst of it, but I'm telling you, we want to help you. If you are in a position, right, where you are feeling like you're never going to be able to make it, you left the narcissist and you're never going to make it on your own, you can't go no contact, Joe and I have found a way. And it takes every single day sometimes to make that choice. Like us, I lost my house. My ex still has a 6-figure job. I don't have a 6-figure job. I have 100% of the responsibility. I have both kids, all the animals. Like,
you had a career that you gave up. Yeah. Like, there's so many things. So it's kind of comical. Like, when the realtor's acting like an asshole, your attorney is saying it, it's kind of like, you get to a point where you start to laugh. Be like, whatever, man. You know what I mean? It's just...
Actually, that happened the other day. I told Joe that I had this unexpected bill from the attorney. Now, I paid her a certain amount of money, and that was my understanding what the divorce was going to cost. I got minimal representation from her. It was bad, guys.
It was she was a real piece of work.
The only thing I got, which was the most important thing to me, so I'm not going to say this wasn't, I would have lost everything else to have this. I got full custody of my son, full decision making, but it was because my ex didn't want it.
Not only that, but like emotionally, you were thinking like you didn't realize you're gonna have that for about a year, because once he's 18, then it's like whatever. But that's the point too. Like, he's gonna be 18, so what are we gonna do when he's an adult? Like, how are we gonna get him to respect?
Yeah, the thing is, like, essentially, and I'm not trying to be boohoo me or boohoo Joe, just some context. We were left in a bad spot. I could really use the help from my ex to help pay for my children's medical care that he's supposed to pay. But when you with a narcissist as malignant as mine or Joe's, and probably all of yours, some of yours, there has to come a point where you have to just literally cut the ties and move forward on your own. And if that means, all right, you know what? then we're eating peanut butter sandwiches all next week because I have a prescription I have to get for one of our kids. And I'm not telling you that as if that isn't something that could happen.
Well, it's happened.
Yeah.
Period. To me, and it's happened to you too.
Yeah.
The point is the more extreme with a narcissist, like you have to be honest with yourself. If God, man, you're a single mom with no one, and the narcissist was like, hey, as long as I don't got to get the kids every other weekend or see them, here's $40 or $60 or whatever, and it's cool. God bless you. In our case, it wasn't like that.
And the thing is, somebody commented saying, and Joe and I agree with them.
God bless her. Like, if she has a narcissist that's actually willing to pay it, she has an attorney that cares enough to enforce it, and it's not a big deal where it sucked up all the energy from you just to get $40 or $60 or $1,000 for the thing. God bless you, man. If you could do it, go gray rock and be true to yourself, then do it, man. It's just ours. We got the sickest of the sick.
Because when I made that decision, when Joe and I made it together, right? Like, okay, it doesn't matter, finances or not. We're making, what the thing it is, I think it's for everybody, right? If you leave a narcissist, what is the point of leaving a narcissist? If you are not, or they left you, whatever, you're away from the narcissist. There's no point. There would be no point in me having left my ex if I'm still living my life controlled by him. If he still gets to tell me what I can do, what I can't do, and I have no life, I have no freedom, no happiness because, he's still controlling everything about me, it wouldn't be worth it. I left. Joe left. And it doesn't matter if the narcissist left you either, by the way. It doesn't matter. You're free of that vermin. You're free of that thing. You deserve to have your life. Joe and I each lost 20 years. I could sit here and lose more time, but at this point, one more day is too much. So if I have to do whatever I have to do, take on 2 jobs, 3 jobs, like very literally, I would do it because I would still have my peace of mind.
Yeah, and there's no price for peace of mind. So if you're in a position and you're being honest with yourself, there's a reason why 99% of psychiatrists and experts in this field highly suggest no contact. And if you think about that, what other disorder or mental disorder or disease or anything out there where you got a damn doctors telling you, don't make contact? How sick of an individual are you dealing with if it's no contact with them? And not only that, but if they're friends with your friends and this and that, I suggest you probably don't have contact with them either. It's a very underrated, underestimated disorder that it seems, from my experience, it affects the people outside more than the sufferer. Like you have somebody with manic depression, they're in pain. They're they are suffering. Like the narcissist, they are able to retract that and blow it to the outside world, and they do a good job at devastating shit.
Playing games is what narcissists like to do. It's sick. They like to hurt.
They don't have a life, so that's if you could bounce back, that they actually exist in this world. Like whether you scream at them, yell at them, happy, if they know somewhere unconsciously, okay, I exist in this world, I must be here. Then that's all they want. Just reinforcement that I'm alive, that there's somebody.
Yeah, I don't even know how conscious they are of it, but I do, and it doesn't even matter. What I do understand is that for us, the real victims of the narcissist, they have an ability to bring us to a place that isn't healthy.
They bring out the worst in us.
Yeah. Guys, and so someone commented saying that like hell, my ex is going to pay this. And I get that. I understand that. For me, though, if I entertain that, if I try to fight my ex for $30, $50, $1,000, I'm not living my life anymore. It's affecting my life, my kid's life, Joe's life, everyone's.
And it's because the narcissists that we're dealing with were at an extreme, total different level. They're intraspecies predators. Dr. Robert Hare calls them, and he's the actual one that wrote the list of psychopathy in the DSM. So to see them as a subhuman or off track of a human species, once I started looking at them at what they are instead of who they are, I started to dehumanize them, and I was able to very logically look at what they are. You look at the traits of the DSM and all the stuff you experience. That's what they are. They're not a human being that you're divorcing. That it's just we're gonna we have our differences and this. And that. It ain't nothing like that at all, man. That's a totally different species.
ultimately, Joe and I, when we got to this point together, right? Like we decided that there was a time actually, particularly with Joe, where he actually didn't know if he was going to be able to have a life, like if he was going to be able to live with any peace in his heart. And that was something that I mean, he used to tell me this on a regular basis. Finally, over so many months, really working and deciding, okay, you know what? No, I deserve to have a life. I deserve to have happiness in my life. Actually, I think it can happen. It happened for both of us by completely cutting ties with the exes and let whatever happens, forgiving, not forgetting, but forgiving for us. So, Joe and I lost, God, 20 years
There's a lot of
each.
toxic guilt, knowing like shit. I allowed this to happen. That means I had a role to play in how my kids are today.
Exactly.
And one of them struggling, and it's just like, it's the no contact gave me a chance to like be able to do the shadow work and look inside and see the truth about who I was, so I could never, God willing, like get myself in a situation like this again.
A few years ago, I guess maybe it was about 5 years ago, I had contemplating leaving my ex, fantasizing about leaving my ex. And the reality is, the reason I decided at that point, I was like, no, I'm going to have to wait till my youngest is 18. Because at that time, my immediate thought was, I'll lose my kids half the year, half of their childhood. They won't be with me anymore. To me, that was unacceptable. So my mind never went to a place where I was a 100% single mother in all ways. Like that wasn't even, no. Ultimately, though, after this whole thing went through and after I found out about narcissism and saw the destruction and pain, and that is what I am. And I'm okay with that. And same with Joe. We're okay with that. And that's given us our peace of mind. This is what we're left with. Whatever it is, this is what we're left with. And both of us were bulldozed. But thank God, we're still alive.
And then part of making amends to myself is like my pet Frankie passed away, you guys, a couple days ago. He must have been like, he's up there. He might have been 18. But he was there for me when my ex would be gone for weeks at a time or in a treatment center, or like he slept with me every night. He was awesome. And I was kind of angry. Like my youngest was going to see his mother last weekend, and we're very close. He's a good kid. He's like, Daddy, you okay? Because he knew how close I was. And I said, yeah. And at the same time, I wanted to like just relay information, like tell your mother to go fuck herself, and that the shit that she fucking left me and all these responsibilities and everything, like just stay the fuck away. I didn't, of course, but I get to like, I guess, rest my head on a pillow without too many disturbances, knowing, you know what, I was there for Frankie and I was a good guy, and like my kids and like my responsibilities, like I wanted to live out my responsibilities to the best of my ability to say, thank you, God, like for entrusting me to kind of be a dad and to watch over my home. Thank you for seeing strength in me that I never knew I had in myself. And holy crap, Joe, like you're not everything that she said you were. Like she gaslit the hell out of me. Said I was mentally and emotionally abusive, and like totally. Somehow the affairs were my fault, and it's like, no. I'm not that person.
I think that happens to all of us. There's this guilt that we're left with. I felt that way before too. My ex had me thinking that literally nobody liked me. And I believed this. I was talking to Joe about
It's
this.
funny because I asked you, I was like, did you think about that before you met him? And you're like, no. What they do is they find any kind of chink in the armor that they can, and they start to like corrode it away with the rust. And before you know it, you're the shell of a person that you were before, even worse off. Like you just relapse into your childhood trauma, and it's just like
they turn you into somebody that you are not, but you believe you always were. I mean, it blows your mind. And then afterwards, both Joe and I, and I'm sure you guys do too, we struggled with guilt with our own kids. Like, oh no, it's my fault. Like, why did I get involved with this person? Why did I stay? Why did I let him or her do this or that? And now my child is suffering because of me. The reality is our children are suffering, have suffered because of the exes, but it's up to us now. Joe's a single dad. I'm a single mother. And that, like, completely a single mother, a single father. we've managed, with the blessing of God, to be able to come together and start something new. But that didn't come easily either. I mean, that's work, and that takes, I don't know, faith, determination, and ultimately for us, and just for us, but I'm just telling you, this really works. Having no contact, not fighting the narcissist with $25 here,
It's the one
$50
thing.
here.
It's the one absolute that I had to get right. Like I could relapse into going up my room and crying and feeling sorry for myself and like.
And we have those moments sometimes.
Yeah, the one absolute that I have to get right though is like complete abstinence from that wicked ass drug.
And the thing is, too, like, I just want to say, and I said this to Joe the other day, when Frankie passed away, Joe was really upset. And there was a part when he was upset with his ex. But you know what? There's so many blessings that come too. You were there when he passed away. You were the person that he knew and loved. It was you.
Yeah, and Sharon like was there and Paris was there and so I gotta pick and choose my battles wisely where I want to spend my emotions. Do I want to get caught up in anger or do I want to get caught up in thank you, Jesus? Like thank you for just thank you for the blessings that you give me today, what I have right in front of me. So when I do get angry or something triggers me with this and that, it's vital that I talk to somebody or like to somebody that understands when I'm going through Sharon, or I play it through. It's just like, no, man, like my kids are safe, they're doing good, everybody's thriving, like we're doing okay. And choose to stay positive, like keep my perspective in the things that I have rather than the things that I used to have. It was a nightmare.
I saw this quote today. This is probably a good way to end this. I saw this quote and I shared it with Joe earlier. And I can't remember the whole thing. I just remember like the last part. And it said, it's an honor to be able to grieve. And that's really true. We have like a heart. We can feel. And I'm not suggesting you should feel bad for a narcissist, but they don't have that. All they have is I don't know, their heart's full of cobwebs or whatever, but it's an honor to be able to live. And it hurts sometimes to live. It hurts to love. But at the end of the day, I would rather be able to love and have a chance to live my life my way than not be able to feel anything, to my own children, not to love them or care about them, or like the cat or dog, whatever it is.
They feel, to them, feelings are facts. If your ex misses your daughter on her birthday, like that means he must love her. Like very sick, deranged, just disconnect because what you do is who you are. Like there's a saying that the road to hell is paved by good intentions. I remember like when I was young, I started drinking at a very early age, but I'd be at a bar about 1 o'clock in the morning, totally smashed, thinking about how I wanted to be a good son and a good friend and a good boyfriend, but yet I was there at that bar. My intentions were good. My actions, though, their actions define us, and their actions. I don't know. Like if they don't have a personality, then who knows what the hell they do? They just know how to destroy.
We have a chance, all of us, to live a real life. And once you're free from the narcissist, it might take some painful choices, but those choices are the same ones that are going to lead you to a good life, a good future.
And speaking of painful choices, you can make a decision, but until you take action based on that decision, it's the same thing. It's all in your head. It's got to manifest into the external world, and that's where, at least in my case, God makes it possible.
So I agree with that. Joe and I have hope. We have hope moving forward, and we want you to have hope too. We've been through a lot, all of us, being involved with a narcissist. But the narcissist is always going to be in that pit.
Think of a narcissist. You're talking about hope. I had to see this quote unquote relationship I had with my narcissist. I had to be hopeless. I had to get a point of hopelessness where I stopped thinking that maybe if this, maybe if that, but this, but that. In order to find true hope, which was away from them towards the light, that other life I lived was hopeless. There was nothing was going to change. It got worse.
It had to be you, right, to change.
Yeah, and it doesn't ever get better. It gets worse over time. And the opposite in your recovery, it gets better over time if you actively participate in your recovery with God.
I agree. I completely agree. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I know I was gone 2 days last week. I am planning to be here every day this week, my Wednesday, Friday.
That was because she was busy nursing Frankie. God bless her. And she wouldn't leave it aside. And while I was at work or just mourning that, yeah, Sharon and Paris are definitely angels in my life.
Oh, thank you, honey. I wouldn't have done anything differently. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you, God willing, on Wednesday.